I never can really explain it when people ask me whatever made you do it, what made you take a flying leap into the political arena.
One of the biggest issues you'll have is imposter syndrome.
With women, the biggest challenge in politics today is to be taken seriously.
There was a lot of misogyny, a lot of old boys club.
Unfortunately, the nature of being a woman is that people are going to have opinions about things that may or may not be shared.
I have endured significant aggressive behavior both online and in person.
I do remember going door to door in 1988 and somebody telling me that women shouldn't run.
We agreed that there should be more women in politics. So we wanted to create a group that would focus on getting more women elected. And we wanted to know if other women supported this. Did they care about this issue to be involved? Yes. Yes, they were.
There's such a beautiful part of politics that is bringing people together from all walks of life with different perspectives and opinions.
One thing I find is women need to coalesce and support each other and be that supportive network for each other.
So I'm mentoring young women and trying to inspire them to start.
And we know that we've trained over 3,000 women just in the last 10 years. And they go on to pursue various careers within politics.
But then also be provided with resources at the same time to tackle those hard truths and to build your team and what it means to fundraise.
There's like a different quality of care that comes from having my colleagues on council that are women.
You start with a small group and then all of a sudden you're reaching out and more people are coming on board, and the excitement, feeling that, hey, you're working towards something that is actually going to make a difference.
Gender equity in politics matters because equity in society matters, and politics, like it or not, helps to shape that.
And it's really important that we have women and gender diverse people at those conversations, at those tables, so we can better shape policy for the future of Canada.
And if you don't participate, then you don't really have input, but more importantly, you don't have influence.
And that they believe they have good ideas and they want to bring those ideas to the table in a place where they can actually change things.
And the thing is, women just want to have an equal voice at the table. And sometimes they have to be loud and they have to be demanding.
I really love women who don't give a fuck.
Get over that hurdle of standing in front of a microphone and saying, I've got something to offer.
I see women all over the territory breaking barriers and overcoming challenges.
If you have an opportunity to serve the public, you should.
And what I found was that I could, and it's not that I have a thick skin, I'm as sensitive as the next person, but I understood that it was part of the process, to try your hardest to make the best decisions, to know you're never going to please everybody.
We need more women in politics, we need more people of color in politics, we need multiple voices in politics.
Yes, you can, girl. Yes, you can. My grandmother gave me that affirmation way back.
To be successful, you have to be able to listen to voices that are not necessarily your own opinion and encourage all women, regardless of partisan stripe.
If you're thinking of running for politics, reach out to other women and other men. There's a lot of supportive men out there, so don't write that off.
Whether you sit on the sideline or whether you get actively involved, every decision of a parliament in Canada is affecting you and your family.
My grandmother used to always say to me, don't ever let me hear you complain. If you don't like it, roll up your sleeves, go in there and fix it.
I'd run the sidelines asking governments to do the right thing. And at a certain point you think, better do it myself.
Organizations like Equal Voice really draw attention to the importance of women raising their hands. Now is the time to step forward.
Equal Voice is looking for a breakthrough. Equal Voice wants to change the way Canadians are governed.
Everyone has to make the choice for when the timing is right for them, but it's often equal voice has been one of the key things in planting the seed to get a lot of women to run.
The decisions made in politics impact all people.
People that have power do not give up power. So women cannot wait for things to happen or have power given to them. You have to be involved in politics. You have to be involved in making change.
Push hard to get where we're going, and we still don't have enough women engaged in the political process. That's why I've been a supporter of Equal Voice. I think equal voice is the catalyst to bring more women into the political arena. The influence of women is what is changing the dynamic of our country to make it stronger, more balanced, and more representative.
It's empowering. We need it to be seen.
Generation by generation, we're going to see change.
We need great people to run for office, period. But we need to make sure that great women even think about running.
At Equal Voice, we're building the future by training women and gender-diverse leaders, by growing our chapters across the country, by making politics a place for all of us. This work doesn't run on hope alone. It takes strategy, infrastructure, investment. By supporting Equal Voice, you back the change makers who are reshaping this country and helping democracy do what it was meant to. Reflect all of us. It matters when she's there. It matters when we're heard. It matters for every daughter watching. It really matters.
My name is Tessa Ritter, Chair of the Board of Directors at the Equal Voice Foundation. Welcome to our annual fundraising gala. Thank you for being with us here tonight, and thank you to our gold sponsors, Amapsio, Ontario's professional employees, Blackbird Strategies, and the International Union of Operating Engineers.
Bonjour tout le monde. Mon nom est Nasha Brownridge et je suis vice-présidente de la conseil d'administration de Voix égale. Bienvenue à notre gala annuel de collecte de fonds. Merci d'être avec nous ce soir.
As we begin tonight's program, a couple of housekeeping items. Some of tonight's programming will be in English or French only. If you like, translation headsets are available at the back of the room.
Quelques points d'ordre administratifs. Une partie du programme de ce soir sera uniquement en anglais ou peut-être en français. Si vous le souhaitez, des casques de traduction sont disponibles au fond de la salle.
Tonight's theme, Voices That Move Us, brings together emerging leaders and future changemakers from coast to coast. You'll meet a few of them throughout the program. These voices are shaping Canadian politics in real time by asking the right questions and learning from the responses. We're proud to spotlight them because too often the hard work, talent, and lived experience often goes unseen in political spaces or the quiet times between elections.
Le thème de ce soir, des voix qui nous touchent, rassemble des leaders émergents et des innovateurs de demain venus des 4 coins du pays. Vous en rencontrez quelques-uns tout au long de la soirée. Ces voix façonnent la politique canadienne en temps réel et nous sommes fiers de les mettre en valeur ce soir. Trop souvent, leur travail acharné, leur talent et leur expérience vécue passent inaperçus dans les sphères politiques ou pendant les périodes de calme entre les élections.
Thank you to Uber Canada, our official rideshare partner, for teaming up with Mothers Against Drunk Driving Canada to provide safe rides home tonight. Promo codes tonight. Simply scan the QR code on the screen or on the poster boards to have the discount automatically applied in your app. With more than 100,000 designated drivers across Canada, get home safe, never drive impaired.
Merci beaucoup à Uber Canada, notre partenaire officiel de covoiturage, de s'être associé aussi avec Mothers Against Drunk Driving Canada pour offrir des codes promotionnels permettant de rentrer chez soi en toute sécurité ce soir. Il suffit de scanner le code QR à l'écran ou sur les panneaux d'affichage pour que la réduction soit automatiquement appliquée à votre application.
We'd like to take a moment to honor the work that takes place on the traditional territories of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples from coast to coast. Although Equal Voice does not operate from a single physical office, our team, volunteers, and chapters live and organize across many homelands, treaty lands, and unceded territories. That is why it is with great respect we welcome Shirley Tolley, Knowledge Keeper from Kitigan, Zibi, Anishinaabe, to the stage. While Shirley Tolley is speaking, we ask you to please pause from eating, drinking, and talking.
Kichimigwech for the introduction. As First Peoples of the land, First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people have lived, worked, and were stewards of the land in their respective territory. Acknowledging the land is a formal statement for visitors to express respect and to recognize the unique and enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous people and their traditional territories as caretakers of their ancestral lands. It is considered a first step in building a relationship with the peoples of the land in the spirit of reconciliation. My people, the Algonquins of the Anishinaabe, are the customary keepers and defenders of the Ottawa River watershed and its many tributaries. And as the host nation, we welcome many visitors to this beautiful territory. Kweka kina kisina agojen keget, juan mishim nungum kashgak chimeno waba mag chimeno gan nundawag chimeno gan nudag shikishemenedo. Miigwech kishemenedo onjeki, miigwech onjo kakina gego, miigwech mijashkin ashid mitagok, miigwech onjo awesi sag ashid nibi, gayemi jem, miigwech onjo nesewen. The bikis is kayen anagushuk. Kakina eteg. Miigwechonje ishkude. Miigwechonje nishomeseg. Kokamesag. Kakina nandodameg. We dokoshin deshkijemenino. Mia. I just acknowledge our Creator with the words of my people and offered thanks for the plants, the trees, the air, the water, the 2- and 4-legged animals, the fish, and all living things. I also offer thanks for Father Sky, Grandfather Sun, and Grandmother Moon, and everything that has been placed upon Mother Earth to sustain us. I also asked our Creator to continue to guide us all, keep us all safe, and our families as well. At this time, I'd like to extend warm greetings to all of you, and I say Kichimigwech, Kibijayek, Nongum, Anishinaabe Eking. All of the invited guests and the Prime Minister and the Honorable Prime Minister Mark Carney, who will join us shortly. Shirley Tolin Indishnikas, Kirganzibin and Nojaba, Nandamenwendaman Kishi Kirian Pisha, Jekonjama Nungum Anishinaabe Eking, Kichimigwech. I'm very honored and I'm very happy to be here this evening with all of you. And on behalf of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation Tribal Council, our chiefs and our nation, I bring you warm greetings. And I welcome you all to unceded, unsurrendered Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory. The territory covers a vast area connected by rivers, and my ancestors traveled all around this area to hunt, to trap, travel, harvest food, depending on the season, on the time of year, and to trade goods since time immemorial. I am the elected women's representative for the Algonquin and Anishinaabe Nation for the past 4 years, and I just got reelected on December the 3rd, and we will have our swearing-in ceremony probably sometime in the early new year. I'd also like to share with you how I became involved in politics many moons ago. I was employed by the federal government back then, and a friend of mine invited me to attend a Public Service Alliance of Canada union meeting. After that initial meeting, I took many courses designed by the union, which served to encourage us to speak our minds and to get involved in the political sphere. I did, of course, and I remember one of the courses that mentioned that politics is a vehicle of change. And that stuck in my mind for years, that political change occurs through various processes and mechanisms that facilitate shifts in power and policies. I am extremely grateful today that I did get involved, and I strongly encourage every young woman here in this audience tonight to do the same. Bonjour à tous, je m'appelle Shirley Tolé et je suis née et j'ai été élevée dans ma communauté de Kirganzibi-Anishinaabe. Et je me sens très chanceuse et bénie d'avoir le meilleur des deux mondes. Ma vie dans une communauté comme Kirganzibi et ma vie urbaine ici sur notre territoire ancestral. We are gathered here this evening to celebrate the progress towards gender parity in Canadian politics. And this year's theme is Voices That Move Us. So without any further ado, let's begin this gala, and I bid you a good evening with your colleagues and friends. Kichimi gwech kibijaya gonjima nongoma gajikak angwamzen da shishpin kigiwek kigowa benanage mie miigwech. Good night.
Thank you, Shirley, for grounding us with your words and for reminding us of the role of Indigenous leadership in guiding our work. For nearly 25 years, we've been building the tools, networks, and support systems that help leaders step into public life. When you support Equal Voice, you're investing in a more representative future. You'll find a QR code on your table and on the back of your program. We do not have any provincial or federal funding at the moment, so every donation helps us continue this important work.
À Voix égale est une organisation multipartite qui s'engage à faire élire davantage de femmes et de personnes de divers genres à tous les niveaux du gouvernement. Depuis 2001, nous travaillons à changer le visage de la politique, non seulement en plaidant en faveur de la représentation, mais aussi en mettant en place les outils, les réseaux et les systèmes de soutien qui rendent cela possible. En soutenant à Voix égale, vous investissez dans un avenir où nos institutions reflètent toute la diversité de notre pays et où le leadership est véritablement représentatif. Vous trouverez un code QR sur votre table et au dos de votre programme. Chaque don que vous faites nous aide à poursuivre ce travail.
Later this evening, we will be joined by the Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, to join the program and provide remarks. Now I'm honored to welcome to the stage Caitlin Kitson, Saskatchewan Chapter Chair and longtime Equal Voice alum, to introduce our first political speaker. Caitlin is a Saskatchewan entrepreneur, rural ambassador, and advocate for women's political leadership. Grounded in her lived experience on her family's grain and cattle farm near Yorkton, as an EV chair and rural ambassador with Women Entrepreneurs of Saskatchewan, she champions women's political voices, rural communities, and the leadership pathways that help them shape public life.
Hello, everyone. My name is Caitlin Kitsan, and it's my honor to introduce the Member of Parliament for Calgary-Midnapore, Stephanie Kusie. Elected in 2017 with 77% of the vote, MP Kusie now serves as the Shadow Minister for the Treasury Board. She's also an executive member of the Canadian chapter of the Parliamentary Network on the World Bank and IMF, and Vice President for the North America on the Parliamentary Network of Gender Equality through Parlaméricas. MP Stephanie Kusie, it's very nice to meet you, and thank you for being here to represent the Conservative Party of Canada. So my question for you to help frame your remarks, as a leader aspiring to have a future in politics, I look to women like you who have built careers in public service. From your experience, what advice would you offer to me and to any woman who hopes to one day have a career like yours?
Bonsoir tout le monde. Good evening, everyone. Et merci, Caitlin, pour l'introduction et la question. Thank you very much for that beautiful introduction and that question as well. I want to thank Equal Voice for this opportunity to speak on behalf of Conservatives and, of course, on behalf of the leader of the official opposition, Pierre Poilievre. I come to you today as the former Alberta South Chapter Chair of Equal Voice for 3 years. Thank you. So I am one of you. From 2014 to 2017. I was also very proud to hold the inaugural Stampede event, Saddle Up for Equal Voice. And I know there are some founding funders in this room here today, and that this event is still held every single Stampede. It's an amazing event. please come to Calgary for Stampede and attend this incredible event, Saddle Up for Equal Voice. At a Remembrance Day event this year, I ran into former Solicitor General for Alberta, Kathleen Ganley. She was Solicitor General under the NDP leader, Rachel Notley, and with the NDP federal provincial government. And we recall being on a panel probably about 6 years ago now. And I said to her, I think we were okay. And she said, yeah, I think we were okay. And we wondered in that moment together at that ceremony, what had changed? Had we been more naive 6 years ago? Has politics become even more partisan than it was before? But we agreed in that moment of being on that panel together, we were okay. And I'm happy to report today that I am still okay. So can the people who are okay out there make some noise? Let me hear you if you're okay. Of course, you're all strong, beautiful women. Of course you're okay. But why am I okay, Caitlin? Why am I okay? Life can be truly terrible, and this is even beyond tragedy, and we all know this. Heartbreak, disappointment, being let down, it's hard to be okay. But despite the setbacks, I have repeatedly noticed that life does not let me down. We must follow our dreams, but should they not come true, I have determined usually a better path awaits. In the spring of 2001, I took the law school aptitude test. I did horrible, scoring, I believe, a 135. But had I succeeded in getting into law school, I would not have applied to the Canadian Foreign Service, where I placed number 1 out of 9,000 in the selection process, including the Foreign Service exam. So it's a good thing I did terrible on the LSAT. In 2013, I ran for Calgary City Council, and I saw some amazing Calgary City councillors in our opening video. And guess what? I lost, and to a man no less, and a really average man at that, but I lost. What a disappointment. But had I succeeded at running for City Council, I never would have succeeded in securing the Calgary-Midnapore Conservative nomination in 2017 by only 23 votes out of 1,200. Life did not let me down. In the words of my eternal hero, Elle Woods, we must always have faith in life. If you want to be a diplomat, or if you want to be an elected official, go for it. But if it does not work out, I promise you, a better path awaits. Even our former Canadian ambassador to the U.S., Kirsten Hillman, who has today been misplaced by a man, knows the next step in her journey awaits her. Go for it, whatever you want, but above all, have faith in life and the future that awaits you. And know that I am with all of you every single step of the way. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Bonne soirée. Thank you, Caitlin.
I just want to thank our Member of Parliament, Stephanie Kusie, for her insightful response. And wow, Stephanie, do we have lots in common? I ran a nomination a year ago and lost by 22 votes. And I will say it's probably not my last time running. So thank you for those kind words. I will now welcome Leah Lopez, Equal Voice Board of Directors, to the stage.
I am not Elia. You've already met me tonight. We have which is rather common in politics, had a slight change in our program this evening to accommodate some scheduling. Therefore, instead, I would like to introduce at this time Ayat Ibrahim to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ayat Ibrahim. I've been involved with Equal Voice since 2019, first as a delegate in the Daughters of the Vote program, and later as a staff member for the organization. It is now my great pleasure to welcome our next speaker, Leah Gazan, the NDP Member of Parliament for Winnipeg Centre. She was first elected in 2019 and is a member of the Wood Mountain Lakota Nation. She is known for her extensive advocacy in human rights, Indigenous sovereignty, and social justice issues. My question for you to help frame your remarks is, you've been a steadfast advocate for human rights and equity while navigating a parliament that wasn't built with many of us in mind. What advice would you give to women and gender diverse leaders, especially those from marginalized communities who are considering a career in Canadian politics? With that, please join me in welcoming Member of Parliament Leah Gazan.
Thank you so much for that question. Come stand beside me, please. So before I begin, since we're bragging a little bit, I'm going to brag. First of all, I know you can see me. I'm tall enough to be seen over this podium. So that's the first thing I want to point out. But the other thing I want to point out, since we're talking about lifting up voices of people that historically haven't been here. First, I want to say that I'm so happy to speak because it's the International Day for Human Rights. What a wonderful day to be able to speak. And secondly, I want to brag that I had to take down a powerful male that was an MLA for 15 years in Manitoba in a nomination, took down a male incumbent to make my way in a place that I am now for the third term. I've been elected 3 times. And I'm the first woman and the first Indigenous woman ever to be elected in Winnipeg Centre. So here is my advice. I don't have prepared notes, but here is what I've learned being somebody that was never supposed to be in that place. And it's true. Indigenous people, we talk about women being able to vote for the last 100 years. That's actually not true for Indigenous people. We weren't allowed to vote until the 1960s, in fact. A lot of people are unaware of that. But one of the things that I did before I ran is I said to myself, Leah, if you get elected, you always have to stay true to your values. There are going to be people that try and push you away from your values, but Leah, you always have to be true to your values. And I talk to myself, please don't judge me, but I do. And here were my 5 guiding principles. If you were asking me to support something that violates the human rights of Indigenous people, I will not toe party line. If you were asking me to do something that violates climate justice, I will not toe party line. If you were asking me to do something that violates the human rights of any person, I will not toe party line. Yeah, it's true. And if you were asking me to do something that goes against the rule of law, something that we see all the time in the House of Commons, I will not toe party line. And I will stay true to my parents and my ancestors. And I have stayed true to that. And as we see right now, today in the House of Commons, women's rights are up for debate. Women's organizations are being cut. Tomorrow we have to vote on a bill, as Minister Hajdu knows, that will violate the human rights, particularly of immigrant and migrant women, and to that I say no. And as somebody who comes from the roots of oppression, one of the things that I know is if I'm not in that place taking up that spot, who is going to take up the issues that I've taken up? Who is going to talk about murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls, or the fact that we've had zero funding for that? Who is going to stand on the front lines, even when we're talking about resource extraction and the impacts that it has for Indigenous women and girls and children in resource extraction? And one of the most wonderful, wonderful quotes that you probably all know, but I think is really important, was from Leela Watson, who said, "If you have come here to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together." And so here is my last little teaching about what it's like to be in a colonial environment that is still quite racist and misogynistic. When you come from roots of oppression, people do everything in their power to try and strip you of their right to joy. And I often think of my grandmother, who endured great adversity. So as I go through these trials and tribulations in a place that I still don't belong, what I'm reminded of is my grandmother. And when you come from a place and from a people who have had their human rights violated, everything has been put in our path to strip our right to joy. So living our joy is in fact a revolutionary act. So I encourage all of you who are thinking about running, who are not reflected in these spaces and these places, to go forward, to not let anything stand in your way, but never, never take away your right to joy. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your insightful remarks, MP Gazan. We will now take a break and resume programming at 8 p.m. Thank you.
It makes no sense. still shining, but it seems half the size, and it's a wild, wild world out here. Before my time runs out, what if I run away to Mars? Would you find me in the stars? Would you miss me in the end if I run out of oxygen when I run away to Mars? I can't tell which way's home. I've been gone for so long, it's an empty world up here. I skip stones and wonder how long till I'm discovered. It's a quiet life up here. Before my time runs out, what if I run away to Mars? Would you find me in the stars? Would you miss me in the end if I run out of oxygen when I run away to Mars? 3, 2, 1, I miss you. I'm sorry I got issues. What if I run away to Mars? Would you find me in the stars? Would you miss me in the end if I run out of oxygen when I run away?
I've never been in love. I mean, I've had a few boyfriends, just didn't enjoy them too much. Think it was more for convenience than any real feelings about us. Call it bad luck, 'cause it was all fun until it wasn't. Still missing something. I've never been in love. Not the way I want to be. Wish it came more easily. I swear I think I'm ready. Get me someone who will stop me on an airplane. Runway just to prove to everyone
She was a payroll honey, wanted a blonde behind for her wedding day, 'cause you might as well try. He drove a Cadillac and a cherry red, had his hair slicked back, but there was something to be said for Judy. Give me a reason, Judy, something to believe in. Under the disco ball, holding silver shoes from her tired feet, but she was feeling brand new. And a baby waits, only 10 weeks old, and they drove all night. A new mother's gonna hold her. Judy, give me a reason. Judy, something to believe in. Judy, something to believe in. I fly, I get so high. Somebody tell me my hero's in the sky. The marigold she held me. I fly in dreams at night. Somebody tell me my hero's in the sky, and all along will fly away. Judy, give me a reason. Judy, something to believe in. Judy, give me a reason. Judy, something to believe in. Judy, oh, give me a reason. Judy, oh, something to believe in. Judy, oh, give me a reason. Judy. Through the darkest phase, be it thick or thin, always someone marches brave here beneath my skin, and constant craving has always been.
Good evening. I'm Lorna Hernam. On behalf of the International Union of Operating Engineers, I would like to welcome you to the 5th Annual Equal Voice Gala Dinner. Tonight, we celebrate women, Indigenous people, and visible minorities. When we open doors and create opportunities for these communities, we strengthen our workplaces, our industries, and our society as a whole. The IUOE is committed to creating a future that is inclusive, equitable, and fair for all. And together, we can make that vision a reality. Thank you, and enjoy your evening.
Good evening. My name is Elia Lopez, and I'm a new member of Equal Voice Board of Directors. I'm a first-generation Canadian that has had both the privilege and the opportunity to work in various political roles across the country. However, when I was a young adult, I moved to Quebec, and it is the place that I call home. Donc, je suis particulièrement ravie d'avoir l'occasion d'attendre Andréanne Larouche, députée fédérale de Shefford depuis 2019. Député Larouche et moi partageons les mêmes engagements à créer une société plus égalitaire et à inspirer la prochaine génération de leaders à voir leur potentiel, à diriger avec confiance et à prendre leur place dans le leadership politique. Député Larouche, je suis très heureux de vous rencontrer et je vous remercie d'être parmi nous ce soir. Pour vous aider à structurer votre intervention, voici ma question. D'après votre expérience, quel conseil donneriez-vous à une femme qui souhaite représenter sa communauté au niveau fédéral depuis le Québec?
Merci beaucoup pour cette question. Bonjour, alors je suis Andréanne Larouche. C'est toujours un plaisir d'être avec vous à chaque année pour votre gala annuel. Habituellement, je peux passer toute la soirée avec vous. J'en profite pour le cocktail avant, passer toute la soirée. Mais cette année, je devrais quitter, mais on se reverra une prochaine année, j'en suis convaincue. Je surveille mon temps parce que je pourrais vous parler longtemps de conseils à donner. Je me rappelle, dans les dernières années, j'ai beaucoup partagé mon expérience de femme en politique, mais de mère aussi. Je suis maman d'une petite fille de 3 ans et demi. Et je vous parlais des défis, de concilier les deux, des préjugés encore que l'on a pour les femmes en politique. Mais là, cette année, on est en 2025, on vient d'avoir une élection fédérale. On vient de voir qu'il y a, c'est peu, on est à peine 30% de femmes au Parlement. Et je peux comprendre pourquoi peu de femmes sont attirées vers ce milieu en ce moment. Donc, les conseils que j'ai à donner, je pense que la plus grande raison pour laquelle les femmes décident de ne pas se lancer en politique dans la période actuelle, c'est la hausse des violences envers les femmes. Ce sont les commentaires haineux vers les femmes de pouvoir, parce que oui, on est encore dans un boys club. On est encore dans un espace où les femmes sont victimes de commentaires antiféministes, de commentaires misogynes. Donc, pour encourager une femme à se lancer en politique maintenant, je dirais, il faut être capable de faire abstraction de ces commentaires, d'avoir des gens qui nous rappellent de ne pas trop mettre l'accent sur les commentaires que nous recevons sur les médias sociaux. On est soit trop maquillé, soit pas assez. À la dernière élection, lors de la soirée électorale, parce que j'ai eu une élection serrée, lorsque je perdais, je me suis fait... non, je ne peux même pas le répéter ce soir, ce que je me suis fait dire sur les réseaux sociaux au moment du début de la soirée ou dans l'émotion que je vivais, j'étais en train de perdre. Les premiers résultats n'étaient pas positifs et les gens souhaitaient mon départ avec des commentaires haineux en ligne. Il a fallu que je fasse abstraction et finalement, je suis là devant vous avec une élection plus serrée, toujours présente. Oui. Et quand j'y repense, au moment où je me suis mise à prendre les devants, ces commentaires misogynes ont cessé, mais ils ne sont pas disparus. Ils sont revenus après, au fil de mes statuts sur mes réseaux sociaux. Donc, vraiment, le commentaire que j'ai à faire, ce sont des commentaires de misogynes, d'antiféministes. Il faut absolument être capable de se séparer de ces commentaires-là, de continuer à avancer, à foncer, parce que sinon, il n'y aura pas plus de femmes en politique. Et si on veut plus de femmes en politique, il faut que vous ayez le courage de vous lancer et que vous ayez la force de bien vous entourer pour oublier ces commentaires. C'est le conseil que j'aurais à donner parce qu'en ce moment, on a besoin de vous. On a besoin de passer de 30% à, on est 50% dans la société, c'est ce qu'on vise. Et je pense que plus de femmes en politique vont emmener un climat moins partisan, vont emmener des idées innovantes, une autre façon de voir la politique. On a besoin de vous. Et là, j'ai dépassé un petit peu mon temps d'1 minute. On m'avait donné 3. Je pense que j'ai parlé 4 minutes. Mais merci beaucoup tout le monde. Et bravo à voix égale. On ne le dit pas assez. Cet organisme-là, il est important et essentiel pour plus de femmes en politique. Merci pour tout ce que vous faites et je continuerai à être avec vous.
Merci, député Larouche, pour votre réponse. C'est vraiment apprécié. And now I would like to welcome Shemilore Ajayi.
Good evening. My name is Shemilore Ajayi, and I'm a part of the Equal Voice team with experience supporting not-for-profit organizations in their stakeholder engagement and advocacy priorities. But before I started working with Equal Voice, I volunteered in the Calgary chapter with a series of events including our Calgary Stampede, Reception, Black History Month, as well as She Governs, where we brought grade 9 to 12 young women and introduced them to municipal politics. It is my honor to welcome the Member of Parliament for Saanich Gulf Islands and leader of the Green Party of Canada, Elizabeth May. She is a true force in Canadian public life, the first Green MP elected to Parliament, a champion for a more fair and inclusive democracy, and currently the only woman leading a federal political party. My question for you to help frame your remarks is, drawing on your years in Parliament, what advice would you offer young women like myself and gender diverse leaders who want to lead with courage and conviction, especially when sometimes the work appears to be isolating?
First of all, I want to say I'm honored to be introduced by a young woman as impressive as Shami, who's going to make a real difference in this world. And I have to say that when I'm introduced as currently the only woman leader of a political party in Canada, freeze that moment, because I've, God damn it, been the only woman leader of a federal political party in this country since 2006. Come on. We need more women leaders in Canada. There's a leadership race right now for the NDP. There have been leadership races for the Liberals, leadership races for the Conservatives, and wonderful women have been interim leaders. Like Ron Ambrose, wonderful woman, interim leader. But where are the women who get elected? Because the old line political parties are old boys clubs. That's what they are. And they choose the next old boy when they're young so they can make sure it stays the same. So my advice, Shami, to any young woman who wants to get involved in politics is don't settle for crumbs. Don't agree that it's a slow-moving thing and incremental change is enough. Agnes MacPhail was first elected in Bruce Grey Owen Sound the first year that women got the vote in 1921. The second woman elected, it took till 1935 for Martha Black to win. In the time that we've been doing this work, and I'll never forget how much it struck me when Equal Voice did the brilliant program of Daughters of the Vote. And for Mark, the 100th year after women got the vote, so we were there in 2021, and Justin Trudeau stood in our parliament where all the brilliant young women were sitting in our seats, And he made a really important observation. He said, right now, there are more women sitting in these seats than have been elected to Parliament since 1867. So that shames us. We're now at 30% women in the Canadian House of Commons. We're 67th in the world, I think. I didn't double check. Rwanda has close to, a lot of countries have parity. Those happen to be the countries that got rid of first past the post or never had it. That's just a reality. But the thing I would say to young women is, don't accept incrementalism. Incrementalism, and thank you to Leah Gazan for mentioning the climate crisis. Incrementalism is our enemy in dealing with social justice issues, in dealing with climate. Saying, oh, well, we got the Commission of Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, and they wrote a great report. We didn't really expect anyone to do anything with the recommendations and calls for justice, did we? Do we really accept that it's okay that Canada's Parliament has 30% women? I'm so proud, by the way. I was talking to Christy Clark earlier, who is former Premier of British Columbia, said she was really thrilled to see the young woman who's now leading the British Columbia Green Party, 25-year-old Emily Lohan, who's really going to rock things up in BC politics. So for young women, Shamie, wherever you are, don't sit back and wait for anyone. Step up and take your place. And if men are in the way, tell them to get goddamn out of the way because they've been in charge for too long. And I'm going to end with one closing comment because people need to see this film. You need to practice compassion all the time. You need to practice loving kindness. And at the end of a really rough day in Parliament the other day, Richard Gere was in town, helped draw a crowd. But it was to celebrate and to hold up the Tibetan people who are dealing with such oppression. And we had a film showing of a film called The Wisdom of Happiness, featuring a very important set of lectures from the Dalai Lama. And one of the things I didn't expect was that he closed the film by saying, the more I think about it, and I'm paraphrasing him, the more I think about it, I think one of the problems with the world is we keep letting the men be in charge. Dalai Lama said, I think we need to embrace the leadership of women to change our society so that we can put human family on a path to survival. And to do that, as much as I love old white men. I just married one not long ago. He's the best thing. Well, I wouldn't say sliced bread because it's not good for you, bread. But anyway, I'm very happily married. But John would agree with me. Enough with the old white men already. Come on, Shamie. We need you for Prime Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Elizabeth May, for your insights, wisdom, and your laughs. We will now take a break for you all to enjoy dessert.
In that second of it, shooting star, somehow it all makes sense. And I want all the world to know that your love's all I need, all that I need. We are lost together.
été cruel. Et les filles sont belles, et les filles sont belles.
Notre histoire est longue, mais la nuit est nouvelle. Et les filles sont belles, et les filles sont belles.
Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire d'être ensemble si on n'est pas ensemble? Est-ce que ça suffit de rassembler nos souvenirs? Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire d'être ensemble si on n'est pas ensemble? Est-ce que ça suffit de s'attendre? Je voudrais partir maintenant, te retrouver, tu me manques tellement.
La mémoire est courte, l'été est cruel. Et les filles sont belles, et les filles sont belles.
J'étais dans la foule, j'ai raté ton appel. J'ai raté ton appel. Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire d'être ensemble si on n'est pas ensemble? Est-ce que ça suffit de rassembler nos souvenirs? Qu'est-ce que ça veut dire d'être ensemble si on n'est pas ensemble?
Est-ce que ça suffit de s'attendre?
Je voudrais partir maintenant, te retrouver, tu me manques tellement. Je voudrais partir maintenant, te retrouver, tu me manques tellement.
Et les filles sont belles,
Les filles sont belles.
I think about you all the time. I can't get you off my mind. They only knew who I've been talking to. You got a place off the park. Oh, come on by after dark. Was nervous then when you let me in. We were hanging at crosstown parties, oh, just killing time until the main event. And it hurts all throughout my insides. I couldn't stop if I tried loving you. I never learned, so I call you when I'm outside. Said the keys behind the porch light, unit 2. Thought I maybe quitting, but there's no quitting you. You said that the fridge is dry, but you got some red, you got some white. The drums outside singing lullabies, slow dance swaying back and forth, whispering what's mine is yours. When you say my name, it's in a different way. You call me out when I'm talking nonsense, oh, and I kiss you when I got nothing to say. Hey, and it hurts, oh, 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 all throughout my insides. I never learn. So I call you when I'm outside. The keys behind the porch light for Unit 2. And I thought I maybe quit, but there's no quitting you. There's no quitting you.
One million roads could have led us here, and I'm so tired of giving in to fear. Can't shake that empty feeling I get, wondering if what I feel is regret. 1,000,000 times could have set things straight, but I didn't try. Didn't know what to say. I miss the times, just a child in the grass, not a care. Wish it could have lasted. Why does my mind skip like a stone and I can't let go? I'm everywhere with you and now. Why am I falling ahead like a past never left? I'm anywhere with you and now. Why does my mind skip like a stone and I can't let go? I'm everywhere with you and now. Why am I falling ahead like a past never left? I'm anywhere with you and now. 1,000,000 lives and we're living here, and I know you tried while I disappeared. Can't shake this aching feeling I get. My mind wanders to where we met. To this place in time left behind, frozen in the dark, and I can't recognize you and I, mourning all the pieces. I miss the chase, the shine on your face. Not a care, wish you could have listened. Why does my mind skip like a stone and I can't let go? I'm everywhere with you and now. Why am I falling ahead like a past never left? I'm anywhere with you and now. Why does my mind skip like a stone and I can't let go? I'm everywhere with you and now. Why am I falling ahead like a past never left? I'm anywhere with you and now. Why does my mind skip like a stone and I can't let go? I'm everywhere with you and now. Why am I falling ahead like a past never left? I'm anywhere with you and now. Why does my mind skip like a stone and I can't let go? I'm everywhere with you and now. Why am I falling ahead like a past never left? I'm anywhere with you and now.
Y a toujours trop de bruit, ou trop de silence. Plus y a de monde ici, plus vide et immense. J'ai plus envie de rester. Je veux rentrer, je veux rester, je veux rentrer. Mais qui sait, mais qui sait? Et je pleure dans ma tête. J'ai jamais le cœur à la fête. J'ai plus envie de rester. Je veux rentrer, je veux rester, je veux rentrer. J'en ai marre de jouer. I feel like a zombie, I'll die at the party. Yeah, you'll find my body fully covered in confetti. I tried calling somebody to tell them come get me, but you'll find my body fully covered in confetti. Singing la da 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 da. 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 Regarde les gens, ils sont fous. Regarde les gens, ils sont fous. Regarde les gens, ils sont fous. Regarde-les, ils sont partout. Regarde les gens, ils sont fous. I feel like a zombie, I'll die at the party. Yeah, you'll find my body fully covered in confetti. I'll try calling somebody to tell them come get me, but you'll find my body fully covered in confetti. Singing la da 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 da. Used to drive around in your Wrangler in a deadbeat town. In the parking lot, we would talk about all the drama and nothing better to do. Now I go out with my new friends to a party downtown in a new dress till the liquor runs out every weekend. Go out somebody new. You could say that all my dreams came true. Oh, what an underwhelming view. Thought that it was real, thought that it was worth it. Out the window, everything was looking perfect. Caught in a dream, it's not what it seems. Thought that I was fine, sitting in the backseat. In the mirror, really looked like I was happy. Caught in a dream, just something in my head said, I'm sorry, you were just looking at plastic palm trees. Plastic palm trees. Didn't know you need a motive to keep a friend around, to find a boyfriend who doesn't mess around. But if you saw me doing well, you hit me out of the blue. You could say that all my dreams came true. I wouldn't know so lonely view. Thought that it was real, thought that it was worth it. Out the window, everything was looking perfect. Caught in a dream, it's not what it seems. Thought that I was fine, sitting in the backseat. In the mirror, really looked like I was happy. Caught in a dream, just something in my head said, I'm sorry, you were just looking at plastic palm trees. Plastic palm trees. It's not how it used to be. Staring at plastic palm trees. It's not how it used to be. Staring at plastic palm trees.
Remember, I was your hero. Yeah, I'd wear your heart like a symbol. I couldn't save you from my darkest truth of all. I know I'll always be less than zero. Oh yeah, you tried your best with me, I know. I couldn't face you with my darkest truth me before. Now you'd rather leave me than to watch me die in your arms. But I can't get it out of my head.
It really matters.
It really matters.
It really matters.
It really matters.
Ça compte vraiment.
It really matters.
It really matters.
It really matters.
Ça compte vraiment.
It really matters. Ça compte vraiment.
It really matters.
Ça compte vraiment.
It really matters.
It really matters.
What is he just waiting for me?
Yeah. I'm just hoping there's nothing in my teeth because I took a bite of my fruit. Okay, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bibi, and I'm a proud ambassador of the Daughters of the Vote program. And what I love about Equal Voice is that this is an organization where you have women from coast to coast to coast who support one another, who are vying for elected office in all levels of government. I am joined on the stage with amazing women who are shaping the future of leadership. On stage with me, let's take a moment to recognize all of those women and gender diverse people among us who have stepped forward to serve their communities.
If you currently hold elected office, please stand.
If you have ever held an elected office at any level of government, please stand.
If you have ever run for office, please stand.
If you ever consider running in the future, please stand.
And so for everybody else, let's give another big round of applause to everybody standing at your table.
What a moment. Thank you to our Voices That Move Us sponsor, Nova Chemicals, for making that possible to bring these emerging leaders here from across the country to Ottawa to be able to ask their questions and create that space. I'm Lindsay Bromwell, the Interim Executive Director for Equal Voice, and I'm pleased to be joined by Jacinta Gagnon, our Chair of our Montreal chapter, and Jennifer Woolsmith, a member of our Board of Directors.
So as Lindsay said, I'm Jennifer, a longtime supporter of Equal Voice and a director on the board. And yes, we get the tough job of speaking to you while you enjoy dessert, so thank you, AWS, for that. And right after our emerging leaders, our amazing emerging leaders, and just before the Prime Minister joins us.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Jacinthe. Je soutiens Voix égale depuis longtemps et je suis la présidente du chapitre montréalais, le premier chapitre québécois de la Voix égale. Et oui, nous avons la tâche un peu ingrate de prendre parole pendant que vous profitez de votre dessert. Merci AWS, juste après nos leaders émergents et avant l'arrivée imminente de notre Premier ministre, Mark Carney.
So before we continue, if you're feeling as energized by the speakers and the program as I am, I hope you'll join us in thanking those who helped make this evening possible. Thank you. Events like this fuel our work, which is only possible because of the generosity of our partners. So first, thank you to our gold sponsors, AMAP CEO, Blackbird Strategies, IUOE, and to our silver sponsors, TD, Meta, and Canadian Medical Association. To our specialty sponsors, Uber and Nova Chemicals. And to our specialty and dessert sponsor, AWS.
Merci à nos commanditaires bronze, Airbnb, Temple Scott Associates, Prove Strategy, Imperial, Coca-Cola, Ontario English Catholic Teacher Association, TikTok, Canadian Telecommunication Association, yay, and Port of Vancouver, Gilead, and Workland Foundation. Finalement, Interac. Merci.
Before we hear from the Prime Minister in a few moments, a quick reminder that we want everyone to get home safely. Thanks to the generosity of Uber, all our guests can enjoy a discounted ride home. Just scan the QR code on the screen to access the code. I would now just really like, sorry, as we have too many scripts up here, I would also just like to mention that we would like to thank all of our volunteers, staff, and those who helped make tonight possible. If you could give them a quick round of applause. We know it was a very busy evening in December season, so we really appreciate you all being here, and especially the volunteers who helped make this possible. I will now welcome to the stage Ziana to provide the next introduction, our special guest.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. My name is Ziana Kotadia, and I'm the chapter chair for Equal Voice Calgary. Thank you. It is my distinct pleasure tonight to introduce the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Mark Carney.
Future Prime Minister, maybe someday, hopefully. He is here. I understand he's in an elevator on his way. As I previously mentioned, it's a bit of a busy evening, so I would just, and of course now I just blanked. Thanks. I'll just call out a few other people to thank for this evening. One of the key things about Equal Voice is that Equal Voice is a movement. It's not about one person or one organization. It's not about one event just like this. We are fueled by the various chapters and volunteers. We have 16,000. So while this event is fabulous for getting, here we go, fabulous for getting everyone together, it's special moments like this that we really value, but it's also those quiet moments that are not in front of the limelight that also really matter and get the work done and move the needle and help us achieve our mission. So with that, thank you very much, and the Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Merci beaucoup. Wow. Good. I should have come here earlier. This is good. I need a little positive reinforcement. Merci beaucoup, Zenyana. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for the entire Equal Voice team for bringing us all together this evening. It's not just, positive reinforcement because you were kind when I came up, but it's truly a privilege to stand in what is an extraordinary room of leaders, organizers, mentors, builders from every region of our great country. Women who have shaped Canada for the good and who will continue to shape Canada for the better. It's been more than a century since women won the right to run for federal office. And long before that right was recognized in law, women were already building this democracy through protest, advocacy, organizing, volunteering, and refusing to accept a political system that did not see them, hear them, or reflect them. And over the 104 years since Agnes MacPhail became the first woman elected to Canada's House of Commons, women have served as mayors, MPs, senators, cabinet ministers, premiers, prime minister, and governor general. These victories were not won by accident or gained by benevolence. They were won because leaders like you in the room were determined that our democracy should reflect the country that you serve. Tonight, I'm honored to be able to serve with the largest women's caucus in Canadian history. A 104 years after Agnes MacPhail's election, there are 104 women in Parliament today. Important progress, but much more work to be done. And we recognize that progress isn't always linear. In fact, it's certainly not guaranteed. Nous ne pouvons pas ignorer le fait que de nombreuses femmes et des personnes aux identités de genre diverses au Canada, comme ailleurs dans le monde, ressentent un sentiment croissant d'insécurité. Elles craignent que la prochaine génération ne grandisse avec moins de droits que le leur. Ces garanties durement acquises, les soins de santé reproductive à l'égalité des chances, pourraient être compromises. Je vous promets que je travaillerai avec vous chaque jour pour m'assurer que cela ne se produise pas ici au Canada. Jamais. I also want to recognize But the women in this room, women across Canada, face particular barriers that I never had to face. Yeah. You confront still stereotypes, archaic expectations that I never had to confront. In fact, I benefited from the opposite stereotypes. You endure added harassment, threats, and abuse online and offline that is far too often dismissed as simply the cost of public life. And yet, this room is full, resilient, undeterred, relentless in the pursuit, your pursuit of equality. And this is why the work of Equal Voice is indispensable to our nation. This organization breaks down barriers across regions and across party lines. You mentor young women, you build confidence, you create networks, and you instill a belief that service, their service, is not an exception but a right. You know, as I mentioned a moment ago, this year we celebrated, every day we celebrate, the largest ever women's caucus in government. And among them is our newly elected member of Parliament for Spadina Harbour Front, Chi Nguyen. Remember her? Yeah. And Chi's leadership has strengthened our team, has strengthened me from day one. Equal Voice was fortunate to have her drive and vision as the executive director before Canada had the good fortune of having her in Parliament. I'm fortunate to lead a government with the council of remarkable women leaders in Parliament, in Cabinet, as key advisors on my senior staff throughout the public service. I especially want to acknowledge Minister Richie Valdez, Canada's Minister for Women and Gender Equality. Richie has done many things, including under her leadership in Budget 2025, the commitment of $660 million towards equality and safety for women, girls, and two-spirited LGBTQI+ communities. And this includes funding for the Women's Economic and Leadership Opportunities Fund, expanding women's access to leadership roles in sectors from aerospace to advanced technology to healthcare, education, and childcare. Nous protégeons les programmes qui aident la population canadienne à réussir et qui permettent aux femmes de ne pas avoir à choisir entre mener une carrière et élever une famille. Nous bâtissons un Canada où davantage de femmes se présentent aux élections, servent dans la vie publique et dirigent dans tous nos secteurs. Et nous bâtissons ce Canada avec vous. So, I don't share your own lived experiences. But I do know what it means to come of age in a time of upheaval, when the world feels uncertain, when the future feels like it's tilting, when the choices that we make matter more than any given moment suggests. I do know that history doesn't move in a straight line. It unfolds through hinge moments, moments when the future hangs in the balance and when leadership becomes decisive. Canada is standing in one of these moments today. And it's in moments like these that your voices and your leadership matter more than ever. Le Canada est à son meilleur lorsque les femmes sont à la table où se prennent les décisions. Non pas comme un symbole, mais comme une source de force. Non pas comme une exception, mais comme une évidence. and as we work towards that vision, I'm reminded of the words of Rosemary Brown. And she said, "We must open the doors and we must see to it that they remain open so that others can pass through." This is our responsibility. It's certainly mine as Prime Minister. It's ours as government. It's yours as leaders. And I promise you, as a government, we will always protect the rights, the freedoms, the equalities of Canadians. We'll never waver in our shared commitment to your empowerment. With partners like Equal Voice, we'll build a Canada that's fairer, more ambitious, more equal, and more reflective of who we are, more worthy of who we can be. Thank you very much. Merci et bonne soirée à tous. And answer a question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister, for your time today and for sharing those remarks. As you say, the gendered barriers are real, and the work that Equal Voice does is imperative today and will continue to be in the future. As part of our program today, some of our emerging leaders are asking questions of the representatives that have been kind enough to join us on stage. And my question for you is, as a relatively new Prime Minister, understanding those gendered barriers, what advice would you provide to someone like me who may seek to hold your role one day?
I think, so I would emphasize three things, unusually. Maybe a fourth, but three things. First, so just so I can speak into the microphone, I'm not. The first is, I do think it's important, and we're all prisoners of our past, so I recognize. I do think it's important to develop an area of expertise, and of course, ideally that area of expertise is somewhere where your passion is. That could be in academia, it could be in research, it could be in the third sector, could be in business, could be in an area, but developing a level of expertise. The second, and this is particularly, again, prisoner of my past, but my lived experience, it is very helpful before you come into public office if you've had some, not too much, but some experience managing things, managing people, managing processes, delivering, because we have to deliver. We have to deliver. And it is a skill, managing people, managing machines, managing outcomes, seeing things all the way through. Because part of the understandable disappointment, cynicism, you can pick your adjective, with public life has been the gap between rhetoric and reality, the failure to deliver. So some experience in that. The third thing, though, is don't wait too long. Or, said another way, maintain your ideals, your values, and your convictions. It is absolutely essential. My experience, and I'm a new politician, aging rapidly, I have to say, as a politician, but I'm a new politician. But I've been around public policy for many decades. The people who succeed, who really make a difference, are true believers. They have ideals. They have objectives. They've gone into public life for certain reasons. Gone into public life for equality, gone into public life for a more sustainable economy, gone into public life for reconciliation, gone into public life for an ideal. You have to have those ideals, maintain those ideals as long as you can, not just because they will make you a better politician, but because you will inspire so many others who see your ideals, you living your ideals, they will hold on to theirs and they'll bring them forward. And that's what drives real change. So that's, for what it's worth, I'm going to stick to 3. Those are my 3 because it's later. And thank you. Thanks for the question.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister.
So this is the last time you get to hear from me. I would just like to say that concludes this evening's program. Thank you once again to all our supporters, to our staff, to our volunteers, to our sponsors, to those of you who support us every day. We couldn't do what we do without you. We hope to see you next year for our 25th anniversary celebration here in Ottawa in December. So mark your calendars, save the date. And with that, you're welcome to network. Please take a look at our installations. There's some cool AI going on out there and a history of the last 25 years with Equal Voice as we get ready to celebrate the next 25 years and see what else we get to accomplish. With that, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your evening. Get home safe.